Welcome to the Imperfect Dads Podcast. This is your host, Devin. We believe dads care deeply about their family and kids, but they don't always have a space to discuss what their life looks like. Our podcast is a space for dads to discuss the ups and downs of fatherhood and how they feel like they're holding it together or how they're not. Thank you for joining us for this episode. On this episode, we have on Jason Hollis. Jason is a visual artist, entrepreneur, music producer, trailblazer, and now the owner of one of Nashville's most historic and legendary music venues, the Eighth Room. In this episode, we talk about his love of Oasis and the role of rock stars in culture, how he feels about his daughter going to college, his daughter's love of true crime podcast, our love of the music and history of Nashville and wanting to preserve it, what his experience of owning the Eighth Room, how music connects his family, and stories from raising a kid while working in the music industry. And also just like one more thing.
Dad, just start the episode.
Oh, my bad. Hollis, we've had on quite a few Oasis fans. I do actually want to hear you went to Wembley to go watch Oasis on their reunion tour and all that. Tell me what that experience was like.
So the best way I can describe it, it's like going to a premier championship match where the entire stadium is rooting for the same team. You know, everybody in the same jersey. It was 91,000 plus.
God,
it was epic. It was just, my brother and I had been talking about it for about a decade. We were like, when the boys get back together, we're going to London. We're going to go see them on their turf. Yeah. So, I think we got tickets about a year ago and then planning the trip. And, it was just, it's wild. I tell you, like London is so interesting right now because it feels like something big's about to happen.
Okay.
You don't know what it is, but it just like the energy is just, there's so much energy there. The music and all the pubs is, it's on a different level than anything I've seen here in a while. But what was wild too, man, was like, I would say 5 out of every 10 people were in Oasis gear. Everywhere you went, in any part of the city, any little suburb, anywhere. It was like 5 out of 10 people. I've never seen more Oasis gear in my life.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, it was pretty epic, man.
That's cool.
I went to the Manchester United official clubhouse and got my daughter a Man United jersey with her name on the back. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, man. It was a great trip. It was a lot of fun. We
did, for our 10-year anniversary, which would have been like 2023, my wife and I went overseas to go see Nickel Creek played like Union Hall or something like that. So a small church in London. And like Jacob Collier came out and played a couple songs with them. It was awesome. While out there, we also went to Wembley and toured it. And it is like just standing anywhere in that stadium. It's just like, I will probably never see a game here. Like, it'd be a very specific scenario, but it's so cool to like be in those environments like the Ryman, like Wembley, where you just walk in and you're like, man, history's been made here. And even just to breathe the air is so cool.
Yeah. Well, it's, like, especially like the Ryman, I always tell people, legends played here before us and they're going to continue playing well after we're gone. Like that's just it's a church, it's a musical church. And, Wembley is, there's just, seeing a show there, man, it's like, it's almost unexplainable, It's one of those things where you kind of just have to be there to understand,
Even just getting off the train and like walking through the little village that's like below it, you've got like all the places you can eat and shop at. Like every aspect of it was like, man, I can't imagine getting off the train with like 90,000 other people, all of you excited to go watch the same thing. It's just such a, you can't explain that energy unless you've lived in it.
Yeah, well, yeah. The craziest part was leaving the stadium. Yeah. You have all those people trying to get Ubers and get on the the subway, and it was wild, man, wild. But it was a great time, great experience, man. It's one of those things that it's time stamped in, and you'll never forget. I wish I could have brought my wife and my daughter, but it was kind of a boys' trip. So
that's fair. I mean, I definitely have concerts like that where I want to go to them, and my wife is like, and my kids are like, you go have fun. Like, well, it's not that they'll like take away from the experience, but I'll be so worried about how they're experiencing it that I'll be way too caught up with like, how are you guys doing? Do you also love this song? No, you didn't listen to this song for like 20 years and you're excited to hear it live.
You don't know every word?
That's weird. So how did your daughter like her jersey or her kit? Did you get to give it to her yet?
Yeah. She was wearing it this morning.
Cool.
It's her 10th birthday today. And getting ready to move her off to college next week.
Dude.
It's my only one. And it has that hasn't hit me yet.
No, of course not.
Yeah. No. I think maybe I'm just kind of blocking it all out. But
yeah.
Yeah.
My mom always told me, I'm the youngest of 3 kids, sending all 3 of us off to college. She was like, okay, I understand. This is your next phase of life. This is good for you. We've set you up for success as best we can, blah, blah, blah. It was the first Sunday night in which she didn't make dinner for everyone. That's whenever it finally hit her. And I'm like, that's good to know. That makes sense. You know, you have your daily routine of like the kids are here and then you look up and you're like, it's actually just me and my husband. It's not bad, but like, oh, I like the louder house.
Yeah, man. So, I grew up an only child, and then my wife has 9 brothers and sisters.
Holy crap.
So, I was always like, let's have 2. And she was always like, well, 1, like, I was like, all right. But, like, I think growing up an only child, I I have a half brother. We didn't grow up together. We're 10 years apart.
Okay.
So I didn't grow up with him in the house. And then I left the day after I graduated high school. I moved to Los Angeles.
Okay.
And my mom always tells me now, she's like, you're going to understand really quick, like what I had to go through. And I was like, no, payback's a bitch. Right?
It is. Where's, if I can ask, where's your daughter going to college, or is it too far away from you?
She's going to University of Tampa.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about 10 hours, but it's a hour flight or so. Easy. It's not bad. And my wife's already looking into houses in Florida, so she's not going to get too far, man. You know, we're not going to let that happen. Yeah, she's going to study criminology.
Oh, okay.
I told her, I've been in the music business almost 30 years, and I told her, I said, you can do anything in this world that you set your mind to, anything except for the music business, So she, it's funny because my wife and my daughter are like so into these like CSI and these kind of like unsolved mysteries. And so my daughter's been watching that stuff for forever. And it's just interesting to see her kind of like go, I love, the aspect of the criminal mind. And I'm just like, wow. All right. So yeah, we'll see what happens. So,
yeah.
All you can do is root them on and, to try not to let them see you cry when they leave.
That's right. And I mean, like, honestly, if she's like, there's so many like that, like, I'm actually intrigued to see this because there are so many like podcasts, documentaries that are all based on like, here's the murder, here's all the details. It's unsolved. That like, I mean, it's like now a stereotype of like, hey, your wife is at home. What's she doing? She's probably listening to a podcast about someone being brutally murdered and enjoying every second of it.
I'll walk into the bathroom and she's getting dressed watching TV. And it's like, this lady just killed her husband and got away with it. I'm like, what's happening? Like,
can we save the blood splatter for at least like 11 a.m.? Like, can we make it through breakfast?
Yeah. Like, you keep watching that. I'm going to go make Bloody Marys for us.
Yes. I've seen some memes where it's like, if you have wireless headphones and it accidentally connects to your wife's phone while she's listening to like one of those podcasts, and it's just like a dad like mowing the lawn, and he's suddenly like, oh my God, what is happening?
Right. Yeah. So I think all that stuff, kind of really piqued an interest with my daughter when she was young. And then she started, taking psychology classes in high school and then advanced psychology. And I think kind of what she's looking at or like profiling.
Yeah.
Looking at profiling. She's that, and I think she's doing international business.
Okay.
So yeah, I think she's kind of looking at that international profiling and getting into the heads of these people.
Yeah, you're over here.
I'm just not that smart.
Yeah, you're like, I can let's have some good vibes and some good tunes and a good
Yeah.
place to hang out. I know how to do all of that, but like, I'm
Yeah.
good on the other stuff.
Know how to make good music and put a playlist together.
Yeah.
That's about the extent of my expertise.
Yeah. That's how my wife does. Like, she helps negotiate like beverage deals. And so she'll be like, hey, I got to go talk to all these like C-suite level people at like Pepsi and stuff. And I'm like, do you need a good playlist to pump you up? Because that's about
Right.
the best way I can help out.
Yeah. You're like C-suite. Is that like a box at the arena?
Does that come with food or not with food? I'm not really sure.
Right.
What tell us a little about like your day job or what you do like day to day or what your life looks like career wise.
Um, and man, I don't know. My day to day, I guess, is pretty out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
I always say that I've never had a real job. I've
Mm-hmm.
been in the music business for 25 years.
Yes.
And it's something that when I was really young, I decided that that's what I was going to go and do, and it's been my passion for forever. And it doesn't really equate to work, I
Yeah.
guess.
Right. Let me
I
see.
moved.
My son's standing at the door real quick. Let me see what he wants. Hold
Yeah,
on. Give me
man.
1 second. Sorry,
Yeah.
man. That's really sweet. I was like, hey, man, you can watch like a couple of Spider-Mans while I do this call. And he just walked down. It's like, so how many can I watch?
As many as this phone call takes.
Probably 3. And he was like, yeah, 3. So, I mean, I have a kid who still looks for my approval. I'm enjoying it while it lasts.
Yeah. How old are your kids?
They are 9, 7, and he's almost 4. He'll turn 4 in September. So like September 2nd, so like in 3 weeks.
Yeah, man, it flies by so fast,
Yep.
like it's one of those things, parenting, that everybody always says, and you're like, what do you mean, But then it's like, then they're crawling, then they're running, and then they're in school, and then, they're playing volleyball, and then it's high school, and then you're going, oh God, like I'm going to have explosive diarrhea for the next 3 months because you're leaving me.
Yeah, right. Yeah. My favorite thing about kids that they do, I still remember this whenever they're all little, is, they don't move at all. They don't know how to crawl. They don't know how to do anything. Then they start crawling and they've acted like they've been crawling, like they know how it all works. And then they learn how to walk and they act like they've been walking this entire time. Like their confidence, once they figure out one thing, is like, I know how to do this. And I'm like, you're still going to fall into the coffee table. Like I have to stand behind you.
Yeah. What was funny, man, was my daughter, she almost skipped crawling.
Seriously?
Yeah, I've always had English bulldogs.
Okay.
And my English bulldog, when she was born, his name was Clash. And Clash used to sleep right next to her crib. And he just followed her everywhere, and so when they're learning to crawl and they're on, rolling over and starting to crawl a little bit. Well, he would stand there and she would crawl up onto him and stand on his back.
Yeah.
That's, I'll hold on to his back. And he would just start kind of like taking these little tiny steps. And he basically taught her to walk. And it was just wild because she just went like from crawling for a nanosecond to now she's walking. Yeah. And then it was running. And then it was me going to the hospital every other week because, I think that she just went in so fast to walking and then running. And then it was like, okay, you're moving. Oh, they're okay.
That's going to need stitches. All right, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's crazy because like I feel like I try to teach my kids like soft touch, or like intensity to be like, hey, you don't need to do this so hard. Like you don't need to go so hard whenever you like brush your hair. Like you just you're ripping out your hair and you're like, calm down. There's time for you to brush your hair. And there's like, go, go, go. And I'm like, no, you're good. So I've no idea how to teach that. Like when a kid's running, like whenever I say, hey, can you go ask your mom this? You don't need to sprint. Like you can walk. We're good. Like we'll be okay.
Bottle some of that energy and give it to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. God, that's so true.
I went to dinner the other night and there were some kids out, kind of just running wildly around outside. I was like, man, I remember that. I remember that. Like, imagine like telling your buddy at dinner, 50, you're like, hey man, let's go outside and play.
Yeah. Dude,
do you remember tag?
Do you remember being a kid and like rolling down a hill and getting dizzy for fun?
Yeah.
Like now if I spin around too quickly, I'm dizzy for like 2 hours.
Yeah. I mean, that's, like I'm a Gen Xer and like, we did the craziest shit ever. It was like, hey man, lay down and I'm going to put this cinder block and this piece of wood and I'm going to attempt to jump you with my skateboard.
It'll be fine.
And yeah, the cinder block knocks over and hits your buddy. You crash into him. It's just like, yeah, doing dumb things for fun that's part of being that's having a good childhood.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
But anyway, before my son needed more Spidey and Friends, so you said that, you've been doing music business stuff the entire time. You now also do like a nightclub in Nashville, don't you?
Yeah. I moved back to Nashville from Los Angeles almost 5 years ago now. There was a music venue called the Douglas Corner that I'd been going to since like 1996, and it was a very historic music venue. Trisha Yearwood was signed on that on the stage, and Blake Shelton was signed there, and Clint Black and Big and Rich were formed there. It had a really deep history. When I moved here, it was right during COVID. And, it closed down, it shut down during COVID, and I understand why. It had a 35-year run, and it was probably a good time to get out just because you didn't know what was going to happen. You didn't know bars were going to be permanently shut. Nobody had any clue, right? It was a good time to get out for the previous owner, and it was, I think, a good time for me to get in. And my main objective was to really come in here and save the stage and preserve the history. So we couldn't buy the rights to the Douglas Corner, so we had to reinvent the space, and came in, rebuilt it, remodeled it, renamed it, and fortunately we've been able to kind of carry the torch of having really big artists in here, from Shelby Lynn, like Shinedown was one of the first bands to play our club. Skid Row's played here. It's like Queen played the night before they did Bridgestone Arena.
That's cool.
So it's been a lot of fun. I don't think I ever set out to be in the bar or club music venue business, but it was one of those things where I felt it was very necessary to preserve history here in Nashville, especially when things are, they're going away left and right. And we need music, we need places for people to play, and
Now it still kills me to think of so I went to Belmont, and I would have taken classes at RCA Studio B. And there was a while there in which RCA Studio A was under threat of being torn down and turned into condos. And like the thought of, now, it's like Dave Cobb's studio, basically. The amount of music that's come out of there since Ben Folds more or less saved RCA Studio A is like Nickel Creek, Jason Isbell, Dawes. Like the list is endless of how many bands have recorded in that space. And like that's still near and dear to me as well. Is like, dude, these are the spaces that made this town. Protect them, keep them up.
Remember that campaign?
Yes.
To save RCA Studio A. I actually got to record there in the mid 90s, so probably around 96. I got to record in Studio A. And then I worked quite a bit in Studio B, which back then it was called Javelina Big Pig.
Okay.
But now it's RCA Studio B. And I got in the history that was, from Patsy Cline to, Dolly Parton going in there and doing I Will Always Love You and Jolie on the same day.
Yeah.
Recording both those songs in Studio B. The history and the legacy that Nashville has is, it's just comparable to New York, Los Angeles, London. We have such a deep history, especially on 16th and 17th Avenue.
Yep.
Back in the 90s, it was those two streets it was jam packed. It was every major label, every major publishing, every music attorney, music tax attorney. It was everything, management, publishing, everybody. It was one of those things where it really felt like a community. You'd see songwriters, sitting on porches, playing guitars, and then walking across the street to the other publishers. It was just wild, man. I think that a lot of those places have gone away, and we need more people really kind of preserving some of the legacy, some of the history, especially in music.
Yep. Now, and that's not even including the list of like restaurant. I lived there from 2006 to last year, so 2024, and even just like the number of restaurants that went out of business, so like to me defined like my experience there. Like it gets sad if you've lived that town for a long time and you see like Music Row 16th and 17th looks different than it did in the 90s. Even whenever I used to take classes on there in 2007, 2008, it's just different.
Man, I mean, look at just the town in general.
Yeah.
Look at the city. I mean,
Yeah.
I moved here from Los Angeles 1995, and there was like the LNC building, there was the big Sheraton downtown, and the Batman building, and
Yeah. That was it.
those were the high rises.
Yep.
I lived in Midtown, and there were no big buildings at all. Like you didn't go to the Gulch.
No,
You know,
it didn't exist.
right? And now it's just like it's wild. It's just growing so fast. You just have to embrace it, and like I said, you got to do your best to try and preserve as much history as you can and continue to tell the story, because Nashville has a great story. Always has.
Another venue I hope always stays open is 3rd and Lindsley. I feel like 3rd and Lindsley is another one of those stages where like the amount of people that have played there is like iconic. Exit In already went through a big change and everything. I'm hopeful it still, keeps some of its energy it once had. But 3rd and Lindsley is another one where it's like, oh man, there've been so many good bands that this is where they cut their chops.
Yeah, we had 12th and Porter.
Yes.
That we lost that. Exit In was another great one. It's still there. I know it's
still
changed a few times.
Yep.
Yeah. And back in the 90s, you'd go to showcases almost every night, and you would see every A&R guy, every major producer out, checking these bands out. And I think we've lost we've lost some of that as well. It's just unfortunate, but I'm here to help preserve it and keep the music going and telling the stories about some of these cool places.
Yeah, totally agree. How's your daughter feel about music? Does she share your same excitement about it, or is it all just murder mystery podcasts?
She's is musically extremely diverse. She's got a very wide range of like musical palette.
Mm-hmm.
When she was really small, probably 5 or 6, I started bringing her to Amoeba Records in Hollywood.
Dude. Yeah.
And we'd go to Amoeba on Sundays, and she had a Fisher Price record player that my best friend bought her when she was probably born.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd go every Sunday, and she'd get to buy a new record. And we would watch like old music videos and listen to things. And she was into like Cyndi Lauper and Joan Jett and Stevie Nicks and all this great music. And then we got her into records, and then we bought like an old boom box and got her into cassettes.
Yeah.
And then we bought a CD boom box and got her into CDs. And then she kind of graduated into like playlists and things like that. But it's interesting, man. I'll be driving with her and going, damn, this is like every song is a bang. Like, what station are we listening to? Oh, no, it's my playlist. And I'm like, damn it, it's good. Win for Dad.
That's how you did something right as a parent, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That's awesome. I used to live next to Phonolux, which is like in South Nashville area, and they had a really big like kids selection of used vinyl. So I would take my kids to there to buy their vinyl, because it is like, I mean, that's such a formative experience to me, is going to a record store, buying a CD, buying whatever, and the first time you hear music is whenever you listen to it in that fashion, as opposed to double clicking on like a song on a computer. And like, that's something I want to instill in my kids also. It's like, hey, let's make music an experience. Let's see how your mood is affected once you put on this album and see what it takes you.
Yeah, because it's a process. You take a record out, you pull it out of the sleeve, you look at the sides, you kind of read what song, you pop it down, you put the needle on, you pop a cassette in, you fast forward, you find the break, and So yeah, it's my daughter kind of had like a childhood that I just absolutely dreamed of. She grew up in going to studios and like playing hide and go seek with Devo, and
dude, what
just being around. Like for my daughter's 5th, 6th, 7th birthday, we took her to go see Cyndi Lauper, and she dressed up like Cyndi.
Yeah,
and we got to go meet Cyndi pre-show, and it was my daughter's birthday, and so we got introduced her to Cyndi. Cindy's holding her, like singing to her and all that stuff. And then we go watch the show, and then Cindy, like on stage, goes, "There's a very special birthday in here today, and I want to wish Strummer a happy birthday, and let's sing." And she's just like,
Dude.
so she's grown up around a lot of cool stuff. I think with that, because I was always so big into history of music. So if I got into something, I dove in, and I like, I've studied music from the 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s, and just really dove in and found the players and the producers and who was putting stuff out, and research it. And that's something that she and I have always kind of shared, just talking about.
That's cool.
My biggest influence when I was growing up was Saturday morning cartoons, because like Jabberjaws and like all these like Scooby-Doo, they all had bands that they were in. And then the Muppets came out. When the Muppets started airing, and I just remember losing my mind, going like, music, music, seeing Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem.
Yeah, man.
With Animal and all that stuff. I was like, this is it. There's absolutely nothing else for me. This is, I want the gold tooth. I want the crazy hair. I want all of what, Dr. Teeth and those guys have.
That's awesome. No, it's I also think like my childhood was also filled with music in a way in which like if someone's childhood isn't filled with music, I'm like, how did you achieve that? Because like, how do you not just put on music in every single room you're in? Because that's kind of what we do. Just one thing about music history that I am fascinated by and nerd out by is mediums in which it came in and how that affected songwriting. So like whenever you could only record on like a gramophone and you literally had a wax cylinder and you could only do like 4-minute songs, you only wrote 4-minute songs. Then you had the 45s and the 90s and you could only write songs that were that long. Then you could do full out, like watching the progression of songwriting once people could write longer things is something that like fascinates me. Like you could like at double albums, like I can nerd out for hours about like how music could be created and then replayed affected songwriting so much and still does really.
Yeah. And man, just to add to that, the listening devices, from the 78s, the way that they sounded, the way the 45 sounds to the way that, records sound, and then the density of the vinyl.
Yep.
Everything has, when I first moved to Nashville, I'd been on the hunt for an old analog like from the 60s, and I found a company that bought them and restored them, like old GEs and different, cool consoles. And they were just, they're $5,000+ or whatever. Like, oh, okay, it's cool. But so when I moved to Nashville, I jumped on Craigslist one day and just started searching, and I found one. It was a 1960 GE all tube console. Damn. And so I called the guy and I was like, hey, do you still have this? I was like, yeah. I was like, I'm coming right now. And so I went there. Guy meets me out in the driveway, and he tells me, he was like, this is my dad's console from when I was a kid. He was like, nobody was allowed to touch this thing.
Yeah, of course.
Nobody could touch it. You'd get beat if you touched my dad's console. He said, so it's over there under that tarp. If you want to take the tarp off and look at it, you can check it out. I'm not touching it. And so I pulled the tarp off, and I'm checking this thing out. It's got all the original tubes. It had the owner's manual in an envelope that it came in, the original envelope. It was pristine, and so I bought it for $400. I couldn't even. I was like, I felt like I was stealing it from the guy. I bring it home. It's got all the the paper cones, the original 60 paper cones, and you pop a record on something like that, and you hear in such a different way. If you go and put that same song on through your Bluetooth speaker,
not the same.
Coming from Spotify, it's a totally different experience.
Yep.
All that warmth and especially like with the tubes that you get, it's an experience, versus background music. And that's what a lot of this, because everything's become so digitized, and now they're mixing for earbuds.
Yep.
As opposed to mixing for rooms in your house to have as a social aspect, an entertainment piece. Now music just tends to be background noise. I don't know. Like I still have my old boombox from when I was in middle school. You pop a cassette on that, and you listen to the realistic, boombox from Radio Shack from 1980,
Yeah.
and they still sound great.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
And I think that there's a big missing element right now of it's the playlist generation, I guess, versus when I was young, I'd buy an album, and the first thing I would do is I would read the entire back of it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wanted to know who was producing it, what label put it out, who was an engineer, who was a songwriter, who played on it.
Mhm.
And you read the liner notes, and
Yeah, man.
you pop side A on, and you're reading liner notes, and you're just kind of like learning about all of this, the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one thing as I get older, because like I also do the same. Like if and even still, if any of my favorite artists put out an album, I go straight to the thank yous to be like, who are they thanking on this album? Like, who do they think helped them make this album stuff? And like the only way I know how to tell it to my kids is like, I have found so much depth and so much meaning and so much energy from listening to music in this way and caring about it in this way. I hope you guys do too, because music has become so convenient that like I can just put on a song right now. I can put on whatever I want. It's made me listen to a lot of music I would have never found, which is great. But like, dude, there is nothing like the memories, the experience of going anywhere, buying a new album and sitting down. And the first time you get to experience it is whenever you press start on that record player.
And, it's like, I don't wish ill will upon any company, but I would love for Spotify just to
Yeah.
go bust,
Yep.
It's like they've destroyed music,
They
in my
have.
opinion. Not only, they finally, like 2 years ago, they started offering credits, but there's the credit is like produced by,
Yes.
written by. That's it. There's no notes, there's not anything on there. And, my whole thing with it is I think that when you label anything free, you deem it worthless.
Mhm.
There's no value any longer to it. And I think that they've done that to this industry. They've deemed music worthless. They don't pay their artists any money. It's like $3,500 per million streams. And it's ridiculous, man.
Do you follow the Instagram account like Hard Times? It's like Snark basically. And one of them was
I love
like
Snark. That's my
and
favorite.
one of them was like artist who just hit 1 million streams on Spotify asked to come back to refill the fridge section in the grocery store. Because even if you get like 1 million streams, it's like 100. It's not a lot of money.
It's $3,500.
Like I think music now, sadly, I think music is now more about branding than it is about the music. It's about who are they, what experience are they, and I'm just like, yeah, man, but is it a good hook? Is this a good melody? Like, how's your blend on your like guitars and stuff in the mix?
Yeah, it's called the Hard Times.
Yes, Hard Times. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. Yeah,
following him now.
Yeah, it's solid music related Snark. I love it.
Fantastic. Listen, I agree with you. And one of the things I was having a conversation with somebody last night was you're seeing like younger and younger and younger songwriters come in, and I think it's fantastic.
Yeah,
but I think there is a lot of surface level. It's Gucci and Rolls Royce and money and
flash
and notoriety and I think that you're beginning to miss some of the depth, some of the real life experience and lessons and hardships and things that you go through that mature you and give you good content to write about, heartbreak and loss. And although there are plenty of young people that experience crazy shit and they can write about it, I think you're seeing a lot of just surface level right now. And listen, I was listening to an interview the other day with a BBC reporter, a journalist, and he saying that in the 1980s, we had 144 bands that had number one hits on the chart, right? Number one hits, 144 bands. In 1990, we had 141 bands that had number one hits on the chart. From 2000 to 2025, we've had 41 bands.
Yeah.
It's just going to show you that, we from 2000 to 2025 were basically genreless.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, because it went, when Katy Perry went boom, there was pop, but then it all became like this whole mixed bag of things. And when you look at like the 1950s, there was such a distinct sound. They were writing about certain things, like there was innocence and being a little bit of a rebel,
Yeah.
like drinking at the high school dance and then doing the twist.
Taking your best friend's girl to the dance.
Yeah. And in the 1970s, it got a little bit more, like great rock and roll bands, people were kind of like fighting the system. You had hippies and you had all this stuff. And then the 80s and then the 90s, and everything had a generational sound.
Yes.
It had an attitude, it had a tone, it had a look, and we don't have that. We've completely shied away from that.
Yeah.
At all costs. It's gone. And the music industry really needs a big shakeup. Something needs to happen. But again, I think that when you go free, you can never go back from free.
You can't.
They're like, so
Nope.
what do you do? I know vinyl sales are like, they were at 400% from last year, this year. It's wild. So people are still buying stuff, but I don't know, man. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. No, and I think like I always look to entertainment because entertainment is the greatest way to know culturally what was happening at that point in time. Because yeah, you listen to the 60s and 70s, it's protesting war, it's protesting government, it's a bunch of protests like rebellion songs because people wanted to rebel against what they saw.
Or
and like even in the
getting into LSD and experimenting and getting weird and tripping out and
even like early 2000s like punk music is all like anti-Iraq war. Like because that's what was, and you listen to country music and it's very like patriotic because we just went through a terrorist attack. So like, but like, yeah, if I listen to pop music now and I listen to Post Malone, I'm like, I have no idea what the hell is this trying to tell me. If I listen to Morgan Wayne, I'm like, all this tells me about our current culture is people want to have a good time. And I'm like, well, who doesn't want to have a good time? Give me more depth. Give me more. I need more from this.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know what's going to, it's going to be interesting to see how it transpires. I think that, the music industry is lost real A&R guys.
Yeah.
When I was young, that's what I studied. I studied Barry Gordy.
Dude,
I
Motown, right? Yeah.
Ahmet Artigan and Andrew Luke Oldham.
Yeah.
And I studied what these guys did, and they were real record men.
Yeah.
And they knew the art of development and the process within development. And we have none of that any longer. You've got A&R guys just looking at TikTok analysis data and going like, oh, okay, well, this is trending. So we can now take these numbers and apply it to this. And there's, you're just not seeing these rebels anymore. And the music business was built on rebellion and rebels and, making things happen that never happened, before,
I think it's a lot of bands that met the moment. Like right now, if I listen to Nirvana's just okay whenever I listen to them. But in like 1990, 1991, Nirvana was so different and so bold than everything else that existed. Nirvana was revolutionary and life-changing. But now you can listen to them and you're like, it's okay. But like, if you add cultural moments to bands, it explains why they seem so rebellious, why they are bucking every trend that existed, and why they are to the status that they are now.
Yeah. I kind of skipped over Nirvana, man. I went straight into like the UK bands,
dude,
like Oasis and Blur
and Blur, dude, a lot of Blur. Yep.
Kula Shaker and Primal Scream and Pulp, and I was like digging into that pretty hard. And I just thought that they beat us at that point.
Yeah,
which I think that they did.
Yeah. But, yeah, you mean you think grunge and yeah? I mean, if I listen to, I still love Pearl Jam, still love Nirvana and all those bands. But there's something different about the pop sensibility of Blur and Pulp and all those bands where they still made it like everyone could agree with it for some reason. And grunge was so like, you can't tell us what to do, that it was just like, it was different worlds.
Yeah. Well, and like Oasis and like bands like that, there was so much attitude. There was so much swagger and fuck you, we're going to be the biggest band in the world. And there was something so rock star about that to me, where I felt like, the grunge scene was just like, the fuck are you whining about? Your flannel shirt is torn. Like, why are you complaining? I don't want to hear I want to be built up by confidence. I want to see
Yeah.
people out there wanting to dominate and like, make you
I gotcha. Yeah.
walk with a purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to listen to people from Seattle complain that their heroin wasn't too good this time. Last week's heroin was better.
Right. Yes, I kind of skipped over that. I mean, listen, there's great bands that came out of their era
Absolutely. Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Very legendary band
Yep.
and great music. But for me, it was just it was something a little bit different. I was really intrigued by, I've always been intrigued by, the rock star and the people that want to own that title.
Yeah.
Because it comes with it comes with an awful lot you have to deal with. People that own that title, I've always loved. We need more David Lee Roths.
Yeah.
We need more Liam Gallagher's. We need more of these people. And are we ever going to see like massive rock stars again? I don't know.
I don't know.
Don't know, man. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it
No.
in years.
Okay, I'll get you in. Let me try to do at least one more too. I also am a huge music nerd, as you can tell. Let me try to think of at least one more parenting subject to talk about before we wrap up.
Okay. Yeah.
What do you think? You're about to be an empty nester. How do you feel about that? Like, I'm assuming you haven't processed it yet because your daughter hasn't left yet. What do you feel like the next phase of parenting looks like now that like it's just going to be you and your wife at your house?
Honestly, I have no idea.
That's valid. I wouldn't either.
I don't know if I'm like just avoiding this or, I mean, listen, I think that, I think that my wife and I have done an excellent job raising a very smart, intelligent, moral, just a good kid. And I think that there's a lot of confidence there with her. And I think that everything that we've done parenting wise is set her up for success and being very aware of surroundings and understanding, having street smarts as well. And she's seen a lot of stuff. So I think there's a part of me that just is very confident in her. And I'm excited for this next phase of her life. There's going to be challenges that arise. And, I'm sure we'll get those phone calls and have to help her work certain things out. But as far as like the processing thing, I think, my dad told me, I've never seen my dad cry before in my life. It's one time when I moved to Los Angeles at 17 years old and I dropped him off at the airport and I saw my dad cry. I was like, oh, yeah. And he tells me, he's like, when you drive off, it's going to hit you. And I'm sure there's going to be emotions. I'm sure I'm going to be, sad. I'm sure it's going to be, that first couple of weeks, it's going to be weird.
Mm-hmm.
My dogs aren't going to know what to do because they sleep with her.
That's sweet.
So it's going to be it's going to be a change. And all you can really do is just face it head on and just keep moving forward. I mean, my wife and I we're talking about taking up golf and, doing that shit. Go back to date nights and things like that. But, I'm not worried about it. I'm not concerned. I think that we've set her up. It's going to be a process for her, because she's used to my wife picking up all of her stuff and doing her laundry and, cleaning up. And so she's going to have as many changes that she's facing as we're going to face. So I would just imagine it's probably going to be a family thing, the next step that we all kind of go through together, because she's going to have stories and we're going to have stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom always told me that also, like, whenever we got older, that she was like, I raised you, like, kind of what I feel like you were just kind of implying, like, I raised this kid and I like this kid. I would still like to be around this kid because, like, I think I raised a good person and, like, this person challenges me. They remind me of the depth of love that I have. And I think it's just, you redefine the relationship in healthy ways, but there's still I actually want to still know what's going on in your life. Like, how do I make sure to communicate to you? Like, I'm a safe space. I care about you. And like, because I love you, like more than this, like the word loving you doesn't even express how much I care about you. So like, just keep me involved in your life. That's all I really ask.
Yeah. And we're, being our only child, we're such a tight knit family.
That's cool.
We text, every day, even if like they'll be sitting on the couch and they'll text me, It's like, I'm right here, but we text back and forth, we are constantly sending memes and
That's awesome.
funny videos.
Yeah.
So I don't think any of that stuff is going to change, and I did tell my daughter, I said, listen, you don't have to go to college. You can live with me for forever. I got you,
Yeah.
but listen, it's part of life. It's part of growing. It's part of kind of what we were just talking about, having some challenging times that you've got to figure out how to navigate through. That's what makes you grow and become a better person. And so as much as I'm, anxious, I guess, a little bit about her going off, I think I'm more excited for her. And so the navigation will be relatively easy. I'd imagine it's going to take a couple of weeks. It's going to be weird. It's going to be weird.
Will be.
But it's going to be weird for her.
Yeah.
Weird and exciting.
Yeah.
So I think that she's going to be kind of going through her changes, and we're going to be going through our changes. And, that's life, man.
It is. It is. And like, I mean, you've done everything you can to make her a decent person and have a good head on her shoulders. And that's it. You just, you have some faith that you and your wife didn't raise a piece of crap. And like, now you get to send her in the world and see what happens next.
Yeah, that's right. And she can always move back home.
She can, man. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Hollis, how we end every episode is we ask every guest a series of 5 questions. They aren't like rapid fire, and you can have a chance to think about them. But so first question is, did you have any backup names for your daughter? Like, did you have any names that you almost named her?
No. So when I knew that my wife was pregnant, there was only one name, and that was Strummer, after Joe Strummer class. I was like, that's it. Whether it's a boy or a girl, that's it. So
that's awesome. I assumed you're a pretty massive Clash fan since you said your English bulldog was named Clash. So I wondered, since you said her name earlier, Strummer, I was like, is that after Joey Strummer? That's cool. Okay, let's just do one more side tangent. Besides London Calling, what is your favorite Clash album?
Probably The Clash.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
The first album is,
That's awesome.
That's so hard. It's like you're a music geek like me.
Yeah.
It's like when people come up to you like, give me your top 5 favorite bands of all time. You're like, bro, we just don't have that kind of time right now. And I'm not going to give you that much of my time.
I got other stuff to do today, man. Come on.
Ways right now and know that it's probably really, really, really fucking good.
Respect. Okay. Second question. Who's your favorite TV dad or movie dad? Is there like a TV or movie dad that you like a lot?
A ton of TV, but Al Bundy from Married with Children and Peter Griffin from Family Guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're so entertaining and so ridiculous. And like, I don't know if I want to become them as dads, but I'm certainly entertained by them, by what type of dad they are.
Yeah. Yeah. Honest and real.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. I feel like most musicians don't have one of these, but some of them do. Did you ever have a replacement curse word? Like whenever your daughter was younger and like you stubbed your toe, something like that, and you knew you shouldn't curse, what type of word would you say instead? Or did you just say the word?
My daughter's well-versed in my pirate mouth. 100%. She always says, I don't need to swear. Like, you've done it all for me. So she's got a very clean vocabulary, but yeah, it's funny. She's like, I don't need to swear. You've done enough.
The bank is full.
There was no replacements. It was just, I think I was a pirate in another lifetime. And it just, I don't know, man, there's something about it. It's fun for me. I like it. Makes me feel good, That
is honestly the number one answer is I just say the word. Was I supposed to say something else because I don't know how to say anything else?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to say, dang it.
Goodness
gracious.
Cheese and crackers.
Right. No. I'm dropping F-bombs and,
That's awesome. Okay. Next question. What was one of your like favorite toys or activities you used to play with your daughter whenever she was younger? Like what was one thing you would like, if it was a daddy-daughter date, something like that, you'd go and do?
It was always music. Always music. We've kind of built a relationship on music and having conversations about what Cyndi Lauper's wearing or her pose that she's doing or what time after time means.
Yeah.
So ours was always around us going to Amoeba and buying records for her on Sundays and then, learning about cassettes and then learning about CDs and then now we talk about, I'm always asking her, like, who are you listening to right now? Who are you listening to on repeat? Who's your favorite artist? And, she now kind of teaches me new things about, because I'm always listening, for different things. I'm listening for young bands, and she's really dialed into what's happening, not only on surface, but like underneath the surface.
Yeah.
Our relationship around music has been one of those things that's just really kind of bonded us, always gives us something to talk about.
Yeah.
So I think music has been a great element, and I think it's a great element to any relationship.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then last question is, you've been a dad, for 19 years now. If you could go back to the start and give yourself any piece of advice or any expectation to set for being a dad, what do you think you would tell a younger version of yourself?
Somebody asked me kind of like that same question the other day about like my career and what would I go back and change? And my answer was very simple. It's probably the same answer now. I don't think I would change anything at all. I don't think I'd give myself any advice because as a parent, you're learning something new every day. You can read a book, but it doesn't help.
Nope.
I mean, I've loved my child. I love my child more than, from the time she was born. I love her more every single day. I love the growth process. Yeah. I just don't think there was anything that I would change. It's been epic. It's been a real adventure with her, and there's nothing I would change at all.
Yeah. And also, I feel like it would change, like if you believe in like alternate universes and timeline, if you had told yourself like, hey, do this, then your child would have changed in some way in which that advice meant nothing. Exactly. I do kind of believe in that as well.
Yeah. When they change the future, and Biff becomes like the mayor or the president or something. Yeah. No. Yeah, I believe in that stuff. So I wouldn't mess around with it, man. I think it's all worked out really, really well.
That's awesome. I'm glad you can say that. Not every dad can say that, and I'm glad that you're able to be like, no, man, I'm learning, I'm understanding, and I love my kid, love my life, love my wife, and figuring out as we go.
Yeah, that's it.
And then
there's no other advice.
Yeah, pretty much just try to figure out to love your life and your kids, and you'll be okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then only other thing is just moment for self-promotion. So if we want to like follow you on Instagram, the venue, anything you got going on, all that good stuff.
Sure. Yeah. You can follow me at It's Hollis, ITSHOLLIS on Instagram, Twitter. If you have a backbone, follow me on Twitter there. And then the 8th Room, if you're ever in Nashville, next time you're in Nashville, and I got drinks for you.
Sweet. Awesome.
It's 8throom.com, EIGHTH room.com. And it's all of our social media is on our website. You can track down everything there.
Cool.
So really easy.
Nice.
I had actually learned how to spell 8th.
You thought it was just the number 8 and a TH at the end of it?
I'm dyslexic,
Right, okay.
I know music. That's all I know. That's it.
It's a good language to know and to speak in, man.
Spelling wasn't it, man. Spelling wasn't it.
I can tell you a key and a chord progression, but if you ask me to spell out the chords, that's a little different.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I know. It's funny, man. It's like when you're young too, like before contacts and cell phones, as a kid, like I think I had like probably 80 phone numbers memorized
totally.
all times, all times.
Yeah.
I can't remember my own phone number.
Nope.
No.
No, yeah. Someone's like, what's your number? And I'm like, just text me. Here's my phone. You put in your number. Well, that'll work better. And I really appreciate your time, Hollis. Appreciate you hanging out, talking music with me, nerding out for a bit and talking about family stuff. Thank you for listening to the episode. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at the Imperfect Dads Podcast, and make sure to subscribe and rate us 5 stars wherever you listen to us, such as Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. The music is provided by The Wild Feathers, and all episodes are produced by me. Make sure to tune in Mondays for new episodes.